This is one building. Today, we examine a single structure, where it sits, why it was made, and what it has quietly become over time. This description is intended to be heard. Section 1. Geographic Context. The Salk Institute for Biological Studies is located in La Jolla, California, in the United States. La Jolla is a coastal community within the city of San Diego. The site occupies a mesa along the Pacific coastline, approximately 3,640 kilometers, or 2,260 miles, north of the equator. The region experiences a Mediterranean climate. Average daytime temperatures range from approximately 18 degrees Celsius or 64 degrees Fahrenheit in the cooler months to 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit in the warmer months. Winters are mild and receive most of the annual rainfall. Summers are warm and dry. Proximity to the ocean moderates temperature variation throughout the year. The building stands on elevated coastal bluffs approximately 107 meters, or 350 feet, above sea level, overlooking the Pacific Ocean to the west. The site extends across 11 hectares, or 27 acres. The terrain slopes westward through a sandstone canyon, vegetated with coastal sagebrush. North Torrey Pines Road runs along the eastern edge of the site, with the University of California San Diego campus located nearby to the east. Section 2. Purpose and Commission. The building was commissioned to house a research institute dedicated to biological and medical studies. The institute, later known as the Salk Institute, was founded in 1960 by Jonas Salk. The land on which it sits was donated by the city of San Diego, following approval through a public referendum. The site occupies a mesa overlooking the Pacific Ocean, chosen for its separation from the city and its proximity to the coast. Initial funding was provided by the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, later known as the March of Dimes. Design work began in 1959 under the direction of architect Louis Kahn. Construction commenced in 1962, and the buildings were completed by 1965. Researchers began work soon after completion. The central courtyard, however, was not fully resolved at that time. The travertine paving and narrow water channel were completed later, and the institute was formally presented once the courtyard had been finalized. Section 3. Authorship. The building was designed by the architect Louis Kahn. Kahn spoke about the institute not simply as a place of science, but as a building shaped by the nature of scientific work. He described it in the following terms. A building is not just a place to do work, but a place that understands the nature of that work. The laboratories are the servants of the spaces where the mind works. These statements guided the architectural character of the institute. Section 4. Historical and Cultural Context. The building was conceived during a period of expanding scientific research infrastructure in the United States. This period coincided with the Cold War, when scientific and technological capacity was closely tied to national priorities. Large-scale research initiatives increasingly received federal support, and purpose-built institutional environments for long-term scientific work became more common. Within this context, the establishment of a permanent biological research institute reflects broader institutional and cultural conditions rather than an isolated initiative. The institute was established at the same time as the formation of the University of California in San Diego and the expansion of other research institutions on the Torrey Pines Mesa. The area was developing into a concentrated research campus during this period. Section 5. Materials and Construction. The primary structural material of the building is reinforced concrete. Concrete is used for load-bearing walls, floor plates, and major structural elements. Following removal of the formwork, the surfaces were left exposed without applied finishes or coatings, resulting in a visible record of the casting process. Variations in color are present across the structure, reflecting differences in material composition rather than surface treatment. Lead inserts close the form tie openings in exposed concrete walls, producing a consistent surface condition. Wood is used selectively at window assemblies. Teak panels surround study and office windows on the western side of the complex. The wood was left untreated and weathered through exposure to coastal conditions. In recent decades, restoration work has addressed deterioration while retaining the original material intent. The central open courtyard, which has become one of the most recognizable aspects of the Institute, is paved with travertine stone, forming a continuous ground surface between the two primary building wings. A narrow linear water channel runs along its center, directing water toward a rectangular reflecting pool at the western edge of the courtyard, where the axis meets the horizon of the Pacific Ocean. Glass is used extensively at laboratory facades, allowing daylight to enter working spaces. Steel appears in structural supports, window frames, handrails, and interior fittings. The structural system allows laboratory floors to span without internal columns. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services are housed within dedicated service levels between laboratory floors, enabling internal reconfiguration without disruption to adjacent spaces. The building's materials have aged through prolonged exposure to marine air, fog, and salt. Maintenance and preservation work has been undertaken over time to address long-term material performance. Section 6. Overall Form and Appearance. The building consists of two parallel, six-story laboratory structures arranged symmetrically on either side of a central open courtyard. Each structure extends approximately 75 meters or 245 feet in length. The two buildings face one another across the paved courtyard, which measures approximately 30 meters or 100 feet in width. From a distance, the buildings read as low, horizontal masses set into the mesa. 2 floors of each structure are located below ground level, reducing their apparent height. Projecting from the main laboratory blocks are study towers arranged along the north and south sides of the courtyard. These smaller volumes extend outward and are connected to the primary structures by short bridges. Larger service towers are positioned at the eastern ends of both buildings, appearing as distinct vertical elements. Exposed concrete gives the complex a pinkish-grey tone, while teak panels introduce darker surfaces that have weathered over time. This is set against the light grey travertine paving of the courtyard and the reflective and transparent glass facades of the laboratories. Overall, the composition distinguishes clearly between solid and void. The laboratory blocks form dense volumes, while the courtyard remains open and unobstructed, extending toward the ocean. Section 7. Spatial Layout and Function. The building is entered from the eastern side, where primary access points are located near the service towers. Each of the two laboratory structures contains 3 floors above ground and 2 below. Laboratory spaces occupy full-width floor plates and remain open without internal columns or permanent partitions. Service floors alternate with laboratory floors. Each laboratory level is paired with a dedicated service level located directly above or below it. These service floors are approximately 1.8 meters or 6 feet in height at their central sections and contain mechanical ducts, piping, electrical systems, and other infrastructure. Maintenance access to these floors is separate from laboratory spaces. Study towers contain individual workrooms measuring approximately 3 meters by 3 meters or 10 feet by 10 feet. These spaces are accessed by staircases connecting them to the main laboratory floors. Office spaces are located toward the western ends of each building. A library occupies the ground floor at the eastern end of the north building. An auditorium and trustees' room are positioned within basement levels. The central courtyard functions as both a circulation route and gathering space, providing direct passage between the two buildings while maintaining visual continuity across the site. Section 8. Light, Sound, and Sensory Conditions. Natural light enters the laboratory spaces through glass walls positioned along multiple sides of each floor. Laboratory levels located below grade receive daylight through sunken perimeter courts. These allow natural light to reach the lowest occupied floors. Study towers receive light through west-facing windows that admit directional afternoon light. The quality of light in these rooms differs from the broader illumination of the laboratories. In the central courtyard, light is unobstructed. Sunlight falls directly onto the travertine paving, exposed concrete walls, and the channel. Acoustic conditions vary across the complex. In the courtyard, sound includes the movement of water and wind passing through the open space. The openness of the courtyard reduces echo and sound reflection. Within the study towers and circulation stairs, sound is moderated by the smaller scale of the spaces and surrounding concrete surfaces. Laboratory floors function as distinct acoustic zones. Sound can travel across each open floor plate, while separation between floors is maintained by the intervening service levels. The core architectural arrangement established in 1965 remains visible and operational. Section 9. Changes over time. The original master plan included additional components beyond the laboratory buildings. These elements were not constructed, and the site was developed with only the 2 primary laboratory structures. In the 1990s, additional laboratory and administrative buildings were constructed elsewhere on the campus. These buildings are separate from the original structures. Between 2014 and 2017, conservation work addressed deterioration of the teak window assemblies. A majority of the original wood was retained, with limited replacement where necessary. The building's structural systems and service floor arrangement have allowed interior spaces to be updated over time without major alteration to the overall architecture. Section 10. Significance and Legacy. The building opened in 1965 and has remained in continuous use as a research facility. Its architectural organization, separating laboratory floors from service levels, has been referenced in later institutional buildings, where flexibility and long-term adaptation are required. The use of exposed concrete as both structure and surface represents one approach to material expression in large research facilities. Public access to the exterior courtyard has been introduced over time, allowing visitors to experience the spatial composition directly. An inscription within the institute reads, in the words of Jonas Salk, "Hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and in the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality." This was one building. Observed.